Chris, what is our first main topic today?
Our first topic comes from Edgar G. I think it's safe to say many of us grew up on the Muppets in one form or another, either with the Muppet Show, Sesame Street, Muppet Babies, or whatever. I just read online that Ron Howard is going to be doing a feature documentary on Jim Henson with Disney behind it. I've always wanted to know more about Henson, so I think this is great news. What do you think, and would you watch a Jim Henson documentary?
There are few creative celebrities in this world that I am more fascinated by than Jim Henson. I've often said I'm not usually big on celebrity biopics, musicians or whatever, but people have always asked me if there was one biopic that you would watch. I've always said the same thing: Jim Henson. Jim Henson. I would love to see one on Jim Henson. A documentary is not what I had in mind, but a documentary by Ron Howard?
Yeah.
About the life of Jim Henson? Are you kidding me? Listen, when I first moved to Hollywood, when I first moved to LA, I moved into an apartment in Hollywood right on Sunset. It was called the Poinsettia Apartments. And it was right across the street. If you guys remember the opening to Entourage, the whole opening of Entourage, they'd be driving down Sunset Boulevard. And one of the big things they featured as they were driving down Sunset Boulevard is the Seventh Veil Strip Club.
Oh, yeah.
Right across the street from my apartment.
By Bossa Nova.
Yeah, it's right beside Bossa Nova. That's right.
You've arrived.
Your apartment complex might be where I met my husband.
Really? Right
Yes.
beside the Ralphs?
Yes.
The Rock and Roll Ralph.
Logan, let me know if I'm correct in that because it was on Poinsettia.
Poinsettia
Were you
Apartment.
dancing in
so
the Seventh
weird.
Veil?
That was where...
No.
But literally, like in
I'm
my
not that
apartment,
type of girl.
which was across the street from it, the way my friend described it is like at night, like if I didn't have the blinds closed, with the blind closed, it was fine. But at night, if I didn't have the blinds closed, you could see the flashing neon lights of the Seventh Veil, which my friend says, calling like unto a circus to children. But all that being said, but right up this road from where I lived was the Jim Henson Company.
On La Brea.
Yeah.
Right on La Brea, this gorgeous, beautiful building there. And I've always been fascinated with him. And oh my God, responsible for one of my all-time favorite films, The Dark Crystal. I mean, I have joygasms thinking about The Dark Crystal. I love that. Damn you, Netflix, for canceling
I hate your
show
wimpa.
after season.
Good.
I hate your wimpa. Everything about that movie is so great. Anyway, I gotta tell you guys, I love this idea. They are going to be working with Disney. So you guys, so I'm expecting this will probably be a Disney Plus original that they'll probably drop on that, although they haven't announced what their specific plans are for it at the moment. But right now, to me, this sounds great. Aaron, you hear about them wanting to do that. Ron Howard is going to be directing a Jim Henson biopic. What are your thoughts on this?
Oh my gosh. I can't imagine anything being more American, not even American, but just more saccharine sweet apple pie Hollywood culture than Ron Howard, like everybody's favorite Opie, directing this documentary. And I actually am excited that it's a documentary because I think that what we're going to see is a lot of private footage. They've said that they have some, footage from him and his family and a lot of behind the scenes things. And I really want to know about the man himself. I want to know what his inspirations were, how he came up with all these things, the team that he built around him to build the entire company. I do think that from this documentary, there will be a narrative one day. But my only issue about trying to learn about a person through a narrative story is that there's so much interpretation and creative license that has to, take place in order to tell a full story. Whereas with a documentary, you're being given that person and their experience. And I love the fact that this is being done with full cooperation from Jim Henson's family. That shows to me that this is going to be a portrayal that really gets in deep and that they're going to have access to things that they wouldn't have if they were doing it otherwise.
Right.
For me, my all-time is the original Muppet Show. We're here to dim the lights.
It's time to put on makeup.
Yes.
It's time to light the lights. It's time to
used to
get
be-
started on the Muppet Show tonight.
It used to be like my hero used to be Miss Piggy, and to a certain degree she still is. But now that I'm like an old crabby bitch, I kind of like those two like crabby Muppets that just complain about everything.
Statler and Waldorf.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. I feel like Rob and I could have our own show like that. Not saying that Rob is a crabby bitch, but you're kind of a crabby bitch.
I think it'd be a
the
lot,
best way
especially when it
possible.
comes to Star Trek.
Yeah, it's get him talking about Star Trek. He's
Yeah, yeah.
totally turning Statler and Waldorf.
But I would
Yeah.
love to sit in a balcony with you and opine on things.
And just complain and
yeah,
just like, tell everybody what we think about them.
it'd be great.
No, and I
Let's do
also,
that.
I was also a big fan of the cartoon Muppet Babies.
Yeah.
I mean, like they're already so cute and then they're just in smushy size. I was a big fan, and I still to this day tell my mom how them not having access to HBO, so I did not get to see Fraggle Rock as a child, has scarred me for life.
Cast your fears away. Worries for another day. Let the music play.
And who doesn't
Down
start
around.
crying immediately when you hear Kermit sing?
Rainbow Connection.
Yeah, but that's from the movie. Yeah.
It doesn't matter what it's from.
Just the opening. Listen, I would put forward that the opening banjo notes of Rainbow Connection
I have to look it
are
up.
nearly as iconic as the opening notes to Stairway to Heaven. Because the moment you hear that dun 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 dun, you know immediately what it is. You get flooded with those emotions. Anyway, Chris, you hear about this. What do you think about the idea of a Jim Henson documentary by Ron Howard?
I love this so much. Jim Henson and Mr. Rogers are my two big guys who made me want to be in like film and television. And then Madeline Kahn was the last piece of that puzzle.
Oh, yeah.
And
I could see that.
right,
Yeah,
well, because
yeah.
Jim and Rogers both came from this as this is an act of service. And that's what the entertainment industry should be, and that's what actors should be. They're servants of stories,
I like that.
and you have a certain kind of service to public people, and their takes on education and how certain things should be accessible to all. It just made me really, really want to perform. I love him as a human being. I think he's such a fascinating individual. His work is incredible. I am a diehard Muppets fan. I know every word to Muppet Christmas Carol. Logan just watches me watch it. And every time, too, I'm like, that's just us, because I'm Rizzo and he's Gonzo. Like, I love the Muppets so much. Anything that is made about them, I'm going to consume. And this team, with the family's blessing behind it too, this is going to be a very, very good documentary.
And they're going to have great access to a lot of stuff on this as well. By the way, I just want to give you a little bit more information on this. This comes to us from Deadline, who writes, Oscar winners Ron Howard and Brian Grazer are teaming up with Disney Original Documentary for what is promised as the definitive portrait of Jim Henson, the legendary creator of the Muppets. The nonfiction project from Howard and Grazer's Imagined Documentaries is being produced with the full participation and cooperation of the Henson family, according to a release, and will present a fascinating and intimate look at Jim's illustrious career creating treasured characters and revolutionizing television and film. With never-before-seen personal archives, the film will give audiences an exciting first-person view into the life of one of the world's most inspiring and iconoclastic creators through exclusive home movies, photographs, sketches, and Henson's own personal diaries. Rob, one of the exciting things about this too is the fact that they're going to have such amazing access with the family working with them. What are your thoughts on this whole project?
Well, when I first started working in the business, my first regular job was I worked at Warner Brothers in the executive end. And one of the very first people I met was Lisa Henson, his daughter. And she was a senior vice president at Warner Brothers, one of the most impressive people I had met. And every night at the end of work, I would hang out in her office with her. And she was kind of like a mentor. I had a crush on her. She was very intelligent, really a nice person. And I never got to meet her dad, but if she was any indication, she inspired me and gave a 22-year-old guy new to the business a lot of time, and she really inspired me to continue to move forward into my career. And if she's any indication of the kind of man Jim Henson was, a very impressive man indeed. Obviously, I grew up loving his work. By the way, my favorite Muppet, call him a Muppet if you want, was Mr. Snuffleupagus.
Oh.
You know, because people never believed he existed, except Big Bird. You know, to me, he would show up and be just awesome that he existed, and then he would disappear, and people were like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
I love Mr. Snuffleupagus, but yeah, I can't wait to see this. And you know, he did a series. Jim Henson did a series called The Storyteller. Did you guys ever see The
I'm
Storyteller?
not familiar with that.
I know
What-
of The Storyteller.
You don't love it?
I said I know of.
Oh yeah, it was wonderful. As a matter of fact, my friend Taylor White gave me a laser disc, and I gave a Japanese laser disc because it hadn't come out domestically, and I gave it to Lisa to have her dad sign it for him, and she did.
Oh, I love that.
That's so
Amazing.
great.
my
Question is for you guys. What do you think about that? I'm not going to lie. This is a project I've been waiting for a long time because we did grow up on his stuff, including and listen, there wouldn't have been any Yoda if there wasn't Jim Henson. It had Jim Henson up and around,
Right.
you know, who of course worked with Frank Oz, and then it's just amazing the impact he's had on so many people and careers. What do you guys think about this? Jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts.